My name is Jared J.B. Boyd. I am a local news reporter, radio host, radio station manager now, and also a DJ. And I've been doing that, I'd say, since college. I guess a more succinct way to put it is a multimedia journalist and local media personality, and hopefully in some regard an entrepreneur. So I could say that I've been doing that almost the past decade. Maybe not necessarily right here at home, but I've been back home for almost 2 years now. So that's a long answer, but it's a complicated web I'm over here spinning. So. Truthfully, I don't think of my writing on a spectrum of, positive or negative. And while I agree that there are people who have a negative perception of Memphis, hopefully my writing and my DJing and tons of projects that I do are in some way an antidote to that kind of thinking. But the true sort of ingredient that makes that work is the reality. And I try to infuse and feature real things, real themes in whatever I put my mind to as it relates to Memphis. And I try not to sugarcoat anything. As much as I'm exposed to, I want to provide context and shed light on and provide truth to. And so, how that looks in a lot of instances is it looks like the ability to connect. I want the person in an office building in Collierville to see a bit of themselves in the spirit of a young black man that might be walking down the street in Binghamton. And when I tell these stories, particularly, I try to humanize and explore what makes everyone human and what motivates people. And I don't shy away from something that someone might deem as negative. When I tell a story, there are unfortunate things that happen. There are people who rob, who steal, who kill. But I want for people to look beyond that and not excuse those acts, but to evaluate perhaps how or why someone is in a circumstance where they feel like it's necessary to survive by taking those measures. And that doesn't bring back people who have lost their lives. That doesn't repair everyone who's been hurt or victimized. And it doesn't rehabilitate the person who may have taken those measures, but it provides some more context for how our community is this way and how we can possibly reach people who are stuck in those outcomes and make those decisions and make those mistakes. Well, a lot of people say you grow where you're planted. I don't know, what cosmic decisions were made for me to be here, born here, and to grow here. I do know when I made that decision within myself and within the universe, or however you might want to think about it, to bring myself back. I think that there's a lot of different ways that my life could have played out. And when I think about any one decision that I could have made differently, a lot of times what snaps me back into myself and what snaps me back into reality is the thought that, if I would have gone to college too far away, I might not have come back. Or if I would have explored this curiosity to that length, that I might have gotten lost doing something else and I wouldn't have been able to find a route to bring myself back. And the work that I do each day, it only is gratified by the fact that it's being done in the place where I was born, where I grew up, where I've made so many friends, and where I see so much of myself in everyone that I interact with. And so this place is special to me because it belongs to me in a sense, and not me by myself, but it colors so many of my own experiences, and I can't get those memories out of me, and I can't get that thirst and that desire for a certain potential to be realized out of me. And so, where I might miss the experience of a Peabody place, I look at a Crosstown and say, okay, well, what a great experience, what a clean slate to start new with a building that not only has commerce, but has community and has activity and has creativity. And where can we build a new legacy? And at 27 now, what activities can I be doing to help make this place even more special at 47? And what can I hand down to my kids and to my best friends' kids and this line of thinking? And I guess to answer your original question, there's so many things that make Memphis special, and there are so many special places on this earth. Memphis is just among those places where culture and influence and industry and taste and the right amount of movement of people have created a lingo or a style or a sensibility that is so unique. It's not as culturally diverse as New Orleans, or geographically as diverse as a Nashville or an Atlanta or a Birmingham. But still, even with such a humble environment, so much energy and so much testimony and so much of the word that people use now, soul, comes out of every experience that you have with a Memphian or anyone who cares about Memphis. Someone, I talk to people in Japan or in Germany or London who know who we are and what we are and want to be a part of it, and that language that connects with them is quantified by this word that they call soul. But I think it's such a real and such a vibrant and such an intangible experience that that's the word we use for it. But I don't really know if that's the best thing to call it, because it's almost it's undeniable and undefinable all in one experience. If you look back at our sesquicentennial and see what Memphians were dealing with in the wake of the civil rights movement and the death of Stax and the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King, and a lot of these things that really drastically changed the way that Memphians thought about this space, that Memphians interacted with this space, this region, that Memphians identified with the geography and one another and the history and the culture. If you look back at how low the morale was then, and you fast forward to now where the morale has such an uptick, you can really start to put together the pieces of how some of these ideas have persisted over time, and why white flight happened, and why industry has shifted around like it has, and why Memphis is no longer necessarily a major player in publishing or in the infrastructure of labels, or in some of the really important pieces that you have to have a functioning music capital. And you start to understand why some of those resources have gone to Nashville or to Atlanta or elsewhere. But it's hard to really pinpoint where those misconceptions lie, because for every person, there might be a different set of misconceptions. For someone who lives in Shelby County outside of the city, they might feel like living in the city is too dangerous because they don't understand where crime happens and how crime is fueled and how poverty informs and influences and perpetuates crime, and what you can do to avoid that systemic cycle going around and around. And where someone who lives closer might have those misconceptions, someone who lives far, far away might have the misconception that this is the land of milk and honey. If you come from a rural area well outside of Memphis and you love music, you might think that this is the best place to come to start your music career, and your expectations might be too high. Or if you live in Berlin or Japan, you might have seen a movie about Elvis and feel like this is a place where you can come and you can walk around all willy-nilly with your guard down and something won't happen to you. And you can't just be out here not aware of your surroundings. And so all of that is important, and all of that is necessary, and all that's information that you should have. And so misconceptions are abundant, and people can live here all their lives and not really know the full truth of things. I've lived some different places in the U.S., so I've seen some different places. I've taken some long road trips. I've been to Africa, Ethiopia specifically. I've been, to some places, I'm not the most traveled person on earth or even within my group of peers, but I've seen some things. And I'd say that, Memphis has, as I mentioned, just this sort of undeniable and unrelenting spirit, and it's really only ramping up. Growing up, when I was 13 or 14, there were so many people who couldn't wait to get out of here, and many of them are coming back. Many of them wish they could come back, and many of them are in enterprises that they want to bring those resources back home. And now's the time to do that. And I don't know that I can say necessarily what exactly it is and pinpoint specifically what Memphis has that no one else has. It's just a Memphis thing. It's a Memphis thing that we can't shake. And I mean, who would want to? I just want to show people that even if the pieces that you want aren't here right now, you can get them, you can build them, you can manufacture them, you can find a way, you can work around the limitations that you might have. There have been opportunities that have come my way that might have taken me from Memphis since I've been back, and many of them I've turned down, and people have asked, well, why wouldn't you? And I think, well, if you want me to be a part of this project, tell me what's stopping me from being able to do it from right here. And that's a commitment that I made, and I've lost out on, certain things that I thought would be spectacular. But the world has continued to show me through my patience that, there was something even greater that somebody was hitting on, that, if I would have left 6 months prior, I wouldn't have been able to pair up with them and team up with them and see them, hitting on that same idea. Someone came to me 6 months ago and said, hey, we need to pull you out of Memphis to do this. Somebody wants to do it here. And then because I waited and because I'm able to do it at home is much more meaningful to me. And, that kind of mentality is important to me, because I see every day people building things or getting started on projects that I never would have imagined could work here as a kid, as a teenager, as a young adult. the more wisdom that I gain, the more that I realize there are a lot of places you can go and be a small fish in a very crowded tank where, you know, everybody has an opinion and everybody is fighting for the resources, everybody's trying to eat, and everybody leaving, for lack of a better term, they shit lying around the tank. And I appreciate the opportunity to sit here in these waters and move around like a shark. And, you know, hopefully can inspire some other fish to swim a little longer, swim a little harder, swim a little faster, swim with purpose. And, you know, that reward is bigger than going somewhere where I have to really, really, really fight to be interesting, fight to be, you know, to show that I'm talented, and fight to build relationships, fight to be noticed. When, you know, here, the players are here, and there are people who know nothing about this area, who see it as an open playground for their thoughts and their dreams. And so that lets me know that the people who are already here, if they play their cards right, they can, you know, get a piece of that pie too. Memphis got shooters. Bang, bang.